Our next guest has won a Super Bowl. He will be a part of NBC Philadelphia Super Bowl coverage.
And he survived the world's greatest road trip with Derek Gunn and Aaron from CSN.
Now, Barrett, I remember the commercials you guys used to do where they stuck all of you guys in the car. You, Seth, Diddy. Was that similar to what that ride was like? I mean, you guys seemed like jammed in like sardines. Right? That's a 19-hour ride.
Bruh, it wasn't that bad. We broke it up into 2 days. So we ended up driving. I mean, it was cool, man. I really enjoyed it because I really got to get to know each other on a more social level, rather than being just a quick slant. So it was pretty cool, and Aaron's a good dude. So, I mean, I enjoyed myself.
So you guys jump in a car and just start heading out there. I mean, what was like the itinerary? Because there's listeners out there who are wondering, like, should they make the drive? Should they invest in a flight here? You know, what were some of the things? Give us a little bit of the day or two that you spent in the car. Where'd you stop? How'd you do this?
Well, they canceled our flight. We already had a flight. They canceled the flight up, and all we did was turn around and jump in the Escalade. So they spared no expense. Jumped in the Escalade, drove all the way to Chicago with some 10.5-hour, 11-hour ride. So, I mean, it turned out something that, you know, it was a lot more fun than I thought. We stopped at the different restaurants, made sure we rated the food, and really just enjoyed ourselves, man. Took our time going up. Well, we didn't take our time. I got a little lead foot.
A little heavy foot there, eh?
Cool. Yep, a little heavy foot.
All right, so you make the drive out there. I want to get your take because you're a guy who played in a Super Bowl. You won a Super Bowl, so you kind of have an idea of what these Eagles are going through that have not played in a Super Bowl before. This is old hat to the Patriots. So give us a little insight on what this week is like for a first-time Super Bowl player.
Well, man, they're just going to have to know that everything has to slow down and really get it going, you know. So they're going to have a lot of people pulling in different directions, family, but they have to focus on what they're doing and making sure that the ultimate prize is at hand right now, a Super Bowl ring.
You talk about family, ticket requests, all that kind of stuff. Are these guys getting bombarded right now?
Yes, they are, man. Everybody and their mama's calling them, guys they haven't spoken to in years. It's just one of those things where you just got to say no to say no. Okay. Hey, guys, I'm sorry. They are pulling me here. I got to do this interview, man.
Yep.
Sorry about this, guys.
Yeah, all right, Barrett.
All right?
Yeah,
All good, Barrett.
Sorry about that, man.
That's all right. You got a couple of good, quick things. Looks like we got Barrett back here, by the way.
Great.
Everything's at the mall. So if you're going to the game, do you want to stay out where everything's at, or do you want to be closer to the stadium? That's really, one of the bugaboos here. All right, let's bring Barrett back into the conversation because something you said, Barrett, we were kind of going back and forth on once you jumped off there real quick, and appreciate you jumping back. But is the fact that, everyone's asking these guys for everything. I mean, and it sounds like people who played in this game, their message is always tell everybody no. And you wonder, though, how distracting it is in these first couple of days when you first get out there and everybody's, like, going to their last ask. Like, I still don't have tickets. I got to figure out something. I'm calling Barrett. I know Barrett. I played high school football with you. Like, did you get overwhelmed by that?
Absolutely, I got overwhelmed by it. We're talking about a time where, I'm an NFL player, and everybody that felt as though they had an instrumental part in my life and my livelihood would get a ticket.
Or even if they didn't have an instrumental part of your life.
Right. We're talking about we got 15 tickets. You could purchase 15 tickets. Number one, the tickets weren't free. That's what people assume they are, but they're not. You have to pay face value for them. So at the time when I played, the face value was $1,100.
You do?
So you paid $1,100 for the ticket. Then you got 15 tickets. That's a lot of money, don't you think? We're talking in excess of about, $18,000? So, that's a lot of money to ask a guy to go out that didn't play. That's a young guy who, really not making that much money to go out there and front that much money for Super Bowl tickets.
Wow, wait, so they give the players 15, they make you pay for them, or can you say I don't want to?
You can say you don't want to, but a lot of guys sell them too, That's what a lot of guys do. They sell the tickets. So you might get them, and they might be worth $3,000. You got an opportunity if you buy 10 tickets for selling them. You might have an opportunity, I'm not supposed to tell that, really, because these guys are trying to make of course, the IRS is going to be calling somebody and then telling them, hey, what's going on. But just to be honest, I mean, that's a lot of money that we're talking about. That's $33,000?
I mean, if you're paying $1,100 a ticket and you get 15 tickets, yeah, you are. You better be making some profit off of that. Or I mean, and I'm sure a lot of these people, you're giving them to your parents, you're giving them to your siblings, you're giving them to your wife and kids. So you're fronting that.
Now remember, Mike, that was Mike Tice from the Vikings at the time that got in trouble for turning his tickets around, and the league got wind of it and sort of put the kibosh on it. So it's not like this is a new practice, Barrett.
About $17,000.
Right, exactly.
By the way. About $17,000 if you got 15 tickets at $1,100 each. But yeah, I mean that's still to put about $20,000 out of your own pocket out on that, and I'm sure you're just getting hit up constantly. Let me ask you this: how like in golf when you win like the Masters, you always get like an entry. When you win the Super Bowl, is there any special like lifetime things that you get now because you're a Super Bowl champion?
No, it's not. It's your name will be forever mentioned, and as one of the 53 of the best players to ever play the game. When you're one of that 53, you're the best 53 players in the world. Mm-hmm. You just won the Super Bowl. So at that time, I was the best sixth man coming off the bench as an offensive lineman in the world. So I was number 6. Out of all those NFL football players, I was the number 6 offensive lineman in the world. Yeah. We won the Super Bowl. We were the champion. That's what you get.
Which is a cool story to tell, by the way. What do you like the first practice when you're in that Super Bowl city?
Well, and his was Detroit, so it was also a cold weather city, and you had to use some skyways and stuff to get around, or tunnels, or whatever.
But is it hard to focus that first practice when you're like, man, we are practicing for the Super Bowl, because you're not in your home surroundings? So is that first practice kind of like you're in awe a little bit?
No, not really, because we had Coach Cowher, and he focused us, and the only way he could focus us is practice the devil out of us. We had the hardest practices during the Super Bowl that we had all year. I'm talking about counting camp. We went out there and banged each other. I mean, it was rough, man. We had very, very hard physical practices going into that Super Bowl, and there was no question that we were going to be more physical than the Seattle Seahawks because of the way we practiced. We went out there, and really practiced hard, and you could tell a level of expectation, a level of concentration, and a level of just being, as intense as you can get. The intensity level was so high that it was definitely a difference. It was definitely a difference in how we played that game, how we focused on that game, and how we went and dictated the play of that game.
Hey, Barrett, I saw the tweet from Steph Wisniewski, plays offensive line like you played the offensive line, and he said apparently you get free stuff at the Super Bowl. He had so much gear on his bed that it filled up the whole bed. He said there was more. This is only day one. Do you remember, did you get a lot of swag when you went like that?
Absolutely. We got it all, man. They got it all. And, you're talking about family. As soon as I walked in my room, my wife and kids and all my family, they came in at the same time I did. They walked in the room with me. And they went in, and next thing I know, all I had was a gym bag there. They took they even took socks. Come on now. None of them could fit my socks, man. Sweatshirts, everything. We had sweatshirts, everything. You name it, we had it. We had those at the time. It was those new MP4 players. We had those. It was a bunch of stuff we had on our bed for the Super Bowl, and it was just great just having all the stuff there, and expectation of playing in the Super Bowl. Although Cowher kept us away from it, it was still right there, just looming around us. We're about to play in the biggest game of our lives.
Now, you were a part of Media Day. Now they call it opening night, and they moved it to the nighttime, and they put it on television and all that. But were people coming up to you with stupid questions? Do you remember some of the crazy questions that you were asked? Because now it's funny, you're on the other side of the coin.
I was, like I said, I was the sixth man. I was a backup, man. So I didn't get really, really stupid questions. Everybody say, oh, well, how many tickets did you sell? I'm not going to tell you how many tickets I sold. Come on, man. Or, just stupid stuff. I wasn't on the same lines as like a Marshawn Lynch. I'm just doing this because I have to. Now, I wasn't that type of guy. But, some guys did ask some stupid questions, just like, they asked Hines Ward, how does it feel to play without an ACL? All that type of stuff. So, it was definitely one of those, something I'll never forget. And as an experience, it's well worth having. I really enjoyed that aspect.
Well, as a guy who's now won a Super Bowl, you played in a Super Bowl against a team that did not have a lot of experience in playing there either, which was Seattle. How do you think it's different knowing that the Patriots have now played in 10. Do you think that it is an advantage knowing the lay of the land and how this week kind of works as opposed to the Eagles, who really don't have a lot of experience other than a handful of guys?
Well, they have a handful of guys. They also have a coach that was a part of a Super Bowl, so they don't have the necessarily the legacy that Tom Brady has or the Patriots have. But what they do, the guy that's in charge has been there before, done that before, and I think that holds a lot of credence when it comes to them going out there and understanding what it is to be in a Super Bowl. You have guys fresh off a Super Bowl out there, Chris Long and Blunt. You have guys that played one before, Malcolm Jenkins, who was trying to get there. So all those things will bode well for them because those are all the guys that people listen to on that team. The most influential people on the team have Super Bowls. And if you look at it, all those guys are directly affecting how these younger guys are handling the situation there and how that team is handling the situation being here.
Hey, Barrett, a lot of times I think most people believe that Belichick is not only the best coach now, but maybe the best coach ever. When going into a game like this, we talk about it a lot. The two 53-man rosters are going to be pretty even. How much more important is this week's preparation, meaning how much more does the coach factor into a game like this?
Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I think the Eagles have a decided edge, not just as close, but a decided edge as far as talent on the team. The Eagles are a better team. But when you're talking about coaching and the most important position being the quarterback, that's where they hold the edge at. And those are the two, most influential things that you have to deal with as far as how do you defend a team or how you go about going into a game with when you have a coach like that. Belichick is great at going out there making adjustments, making sure that he shuts down the best thing that you have going into the game. And he also has the best quarterback in the game. But if you look at Philly, Philly has, the best offensive line in the league. They have the best defensive line in the league. Teams are built in the trenches. So, it kind of evens out a little bit. And, I think because the way, these guys approach this game with the offensive line and defensive line being how they win games, I think the Eagles may have a little bit of an edge in that aspect.
Yeah, it seems that a lot of people look at Barrett in the trenches. And if you look in the trenches, the Eagles won the Atlanta game and the Minnesota game because they won in the trenches. Would you say that they have a decided advantage in both of those trenches in this game?
I think so. I think that even with Belichick being the coach he is, the guys out front can kick the guys in front of their butt. And if you do that, man, that's the formula on how you win games in the NFL. Yes, it has a lot to do with coaches, but, hey, Belichick's not putting a helmet on. He's not putting shoulder pads on. If Chris Long and Fletcher Cox and all those guys can dictate what that offensive line does and beat up on Brady a little bit, it doesn't matter what he does on the other side as far as adjustments. And, vice versa. If that offensive line goes out and dictate what they want to do to that defense and moves them guys around, I don't care how much game plan or anything or glitching you do, if they can pick that up and they can push guys around, they can win this game. And I think that's where our advantage is with the Philadelphia Eagles. On both sides of the line of scrimmage, that's where they have the better game.
Barrett, are you worried at all about Brady versus the Eagles secondary? Tom Brady tends to get the ball out pretty fast like Eli did against the Eagles. Is that something that worries you about what Tom Brady can do?
No question. He's the best quarterback for a reason. He's the best to ever play the game. He's the GOAT. But, he's not going out there and he's not catching the ball. He's not going out there and running the ball. If the Eagles can effectively move him around, because he doesn't throw that well moving and out of the pocket. If they make him move around and do things he's not accustomed to doing, they got a chance. They got an opportunity to win this game. But it has to be one up front. I need Fletcher Cox and Tim Jernigan to make sure that they press the pocket so he can't step up. Maybe he hits his hand on the helmet from pushing the offensive line back into him. Those are the things that we need to happen, and the number one thing is we can't beat ourselves. None of the penalties, last week they didn't have any penalties. Don't go into the game with any penalties. Make sure that you go out there and play a clean game. Don't have any assignment busts, and that's how you beat a Belichick team. Don't beat yourself. Belichick beats most of the teams with his whole, I'm Belichick, and you're going to beat yourselves, and that's how I'm going to take advantage of it. As long as you don't have that mindset that he can beat you, you'll be just fine.
How about some more issues that maybe are below the surface there a little bit, BB? Because I kept seeing James White catching passes out of the backfield for the Patriots. The Eagles linebackers versus the Patriots running backs out of the backfield. Is that another thing that jumps out at you and concerns you?
Well, that definitely concerns me because I think that's how they win most of their games. Everybody thinks it's Amendola and Gronk. Well, a lot of the times it's White out of the backfield. Just think about it. They got 7 running backs on the roster. So these guys have to be multifaceted. They have to play. To me, they're more so running backs that can play in the slot. They're great athletes and go out the backfield, catch out of the backfield. They can catch at the slot position. They can catch at the wing position. These are nothing but receivers that run the rock, and that's how they use them. They mess up everything because you have to account for them as running backs when you're doing your number count, when you're sending out your defense. But then when they go out and play different positions, like in the slot and like in the wing, now you have guys that don't necessarily cover as good as these guys catch the ball. So those are matchups problems that they have.
Yeah, that's that would be one that would give me some sleeping issues there at night. If I'm Jim Schwartz, I'm probably having some tossing and turning nights thinking about the matchup between them catching the ball in the backfield because, the one area that Minnesota did move the ball was McKinnon catching, 11 passes?
I know, but the thing is, what they did, they turned around and they played big nickel. They took a linebacker out. They took Najee Good out. They took out another linebacker and put in a guy like, Corey. Corey plays both safety and corner. He's a guy that fits well. Corey Graham. He's a guy that fits well. So when you put Corey Graham out there at the slot, he can play the slot position. He can play inside the linebacker position in the box. He is that X factor.
Couple quickies.
He is the X factor.
Couple quickies, Barrett. Who do you match up with Gronk?
All 11 guys. No. He's just like a Julio Jones. He'll get his 100 yards. You just got to keep everybody else from doing their thing.
Amendola, who do you like? Because that's another interesting matchup for me is Amendola.
Well, my surprise guy is Patrick Robinson. I really think that he'll be matched up against him in the slot, and I think he'll do a good job against Amendola.
Foles and the way he's played, this Patriots team doesn't seem like they have that elite pass rusher. So do you think he will have time to pick guys out, make his reads like he did the last couple of weeks? Because Minnesota couldn't get a pass rush, and neither could Atlanta.
Absolutely. I think that's a deciding factor in the game. Foles will be able to pick that defense apart because he's still going to go out with the same mindset that he has to get the ball out of his hands and get it to his playmakers. If he goes in with that mindset, he'll be great against that defense. They're nowhere near the capacity with the 2 defenses they just played in the playoffs. The Atlanta Falcons are a fast defense that were physical, and then he went up against one of the dominant defenses in the Minnesota Vikings. This should be a cakewalk for him, but you never know because this is a Belichick-led team.
All right, Barrett Brooks, NBC Sports Philadelphia. Make sure you watch their coverage on the television. Barrett will be a big part of their coverage for Super Bowl week. We'll be out there Thursday, Friday. Hopefully we can hook up one of those days, BB, and have you live on the set, man.
Have a good one, Pete, Mike. Love you guys. Appreciate you.